Danny and Nia, we are in Santa Clarita.
Let's
Yay.
go!
Beautiful Santa Clarita.
How long have you been here?
From the outside, it looks like they have it all. A beautiful home in Santa Clarita. For adorable kids. A loving, picture-perfect marriage that fans can't stop admiring. But what if that perfect life isn't as perfect as it seems? Because behind this big move, behind the smiles and family moments, everything changed almost overnight. A rushed decision. A newborn arriving just weeks after relocating. And pressure building in ways no one expected, and as their life got bigger, so did the cracks no one saw coming. This isn't just a story about a happy family. It's about what really happened when everything came at once, and how it nearly pushed them to their limit. For Danny, this move wasn't random, it was something he had been pushing for years. Santa Clarita wasn't just another location, it was the dream. More space, a real home, a place where their kids could actually grow up outside instead of inside walls. But here's where things took a turn. The plan was simple: get the house first, settle in, then think about expanding the family. That's not what happened. Instead, they found out they were expecting before everything was ready, and just like that, the pressure flipped. What should have been a calm, exciting transition turned into a race against time, searching for the right home, packing everything up, and preparing for a newborn all at once. They finally made the move, but barely had time to breathe because just 2.5 weeks later, the baby arrived. No adjustment period. No settling in. No moment to pause, everything hit them at once, and while it looked like a fresh, happy new chapter from the outside, behind the scenes, it was already starting to feel overwhelming. But that was only the beginning. Before all of this, life felt controlled. They were living in a luxury penthouse in Encino, spacious, modern, and honestly, more than enough for a family of 5. Everything had its place. Everything felt manageable, but the moment they started talking about a fourth child, that entire setup stopped making sense. There was no room to grow. No space for the chaos that was about to come, and once the baby arrived, everything shifted overnight. Suddenly, it wasn't just a busy household, it was non-stop motion. 4 kids. All under the age of 4. Think about that for a second. No quiet moments. No real breaks. Just constant noise, energy, and needs pulling them in every direction. They even joke that it feels like a circus. But underneath that laughter, you can feel the pressure, because this isn't just about being busy, it's about trying to keep everything together while running on almost no sleep. And while they try to embrace it as the life they prayed for, the reality is, this kind of chaos doesn't come without a cost, and slowly, that cost was starting to show. But the chaos at home wasn't the only thing they were dealing with, because while most parents are just trying to keep up with toddlers, they were also managing careers, not just their own, but their kids too. Their twins had already stepped into the spotlight, landing roles on a major TV series. Long days on set, cameras, crews, schedules, all of it becoming part of their routine. But here's the part that makes it complicated. The kids, it's not work. They think they're just going to play. They call it hanging out with their co-stars, laughing, running around, having fun like any other day, and in a way, that's exactly how their parents want it, because the moment it starts to feel like pressure, everything changes. So Danny and Nia walk a very careful line, protecting their kids' innocence while quietly handling everything behind the scenes of the contracts. The timing. The responsibility, even the money they earn. It's all being saved for their future, which sounds smart, but also adds another layer of expectation, because now it's not just about raising kids, it's about managing a life that's already bigger than most families could handle. And with everything piling up, the real pressure wasn't just outside the home anymore. It was starting to build inside, and this is where things started to get real. Because behind the busy schedules and smiling family moments, Nia was quietly hitting her limit. She admitted it herself. She felt completely stretched thin, not just tired, but drained, and a big part of that came from something no one expected. The newborn wouldn't take a bottle for 6 months. That meant Nia had to be there, all the time. No breaks. No stepping away. No chance to reset. Even when she needed rest the most, she couldn't get it. And when you combine that with 3 toddlers running around, it becomes overwhelming fast. She tried to shift her mindset, telling herself this was her last baby, that maybe this was a special kind of bonding time, and sometimes, that helped, but other times, it didn't. There were moments where the stress took over, where staying positive just wasn't realistic, moments where she felt alone in it, even with everything going on around her. And when that kind of pressure builds up, it doesn't just stay internal. It starts to affect everything around you, including the one relationship that's supposed to hold it all together. And that pressure didn't stay quiet for long. It started showing up in their marriage, not in some dramatic, explosive way, but in the small moments, the tone of a reply, a missed signal, the feeling of not being fully supported. Nia began to feel like she needed more, not just help when she asked for it, but someone who could step in without being told, someone who just knew. But on the other side, Danny was already stretched thin while she was focused on the newborn. He was handling the older kids, trying to keep structure, routines, and some sense of order in the middle of chaos. It became a divide and conquer situation, and while that sounds like teamwork, it didn't always feel that way, because when both people are exhausted, running on no sleep, and carrying different pressures, it's easy to fall out of sync. There were moments where conversations turned short, moments where jokes didn't land the way they were meant to, moments where frustration slipped out before understanding could step in, and even they admitted it, this wasn't how they usually are. But in that season of life, it was hard to be anything else, and just when they were trying to find their balance again, something else came into the picture that made everything even more intense, and just when they thought things couldn't get more overwhelming, they added cameras into the mix. Joining the Valley didn't just document their lives, it amplified everything. Now, the stress wasn't private anymore. Every disagreement, every emotional moment, every bit of tension had the potential to be seen by everyone, and that changes how things feel, because it's one thing to go through a rough patch behind closed doors, it's another to know it might play out on screen. They even admitted it. The show brought a level of pressure they wouldn't normally have, and not all the time, but enough to make a difference, and sometimes, that pressure didn't come out in obvious ways. It showed up in little things. A sharper tone, a reaction that felt bigger than the moment, conversations going sideways for no clear reason, and in those moments, even they could tell, this isn't us. But when you're juggling 4 kids, no sleep, and now public attention on top of it all, it's hard to separate what's real stress and what's being amplified, because suddenly, it's not just about managing your family anymore. It's about holding everything together while people are watching, and just when it all started to feel like too much, they made a decision that would change everything going forward. Danny got a vasectomy. No more kids. No more surprises. No more wondering if the chaos would keep growing for them. It wasn't just a medical decision, it was symbolic. After moving, welcoming a newborn, managing 4 little kids, and juggling the pressures of a reality show, this was them saying, we've reached our limit. Our family is complete. 6 people. That's it, and while it brought a sense of relief, it also carried weight. It was the end of a chapter, a permanent marker that this was their life now, full, chaotic, messy, but even the process had its moments. Danny joking about the 35 releases required to be sure there wouldn't be a 5th baby. It was both funny and serious, a reminder that they had survived so much to get here. And while it closed the door on expanding their family, it also opened the space to focus on what really mattered, navigating this whirlwind life together, with all the love, patience, and communication they could muster, because after everything they'd been through, they weren't just surviving. They were learning to thrive even when life refused to slow down, and at the end of the day, Danny and Nia know this life isn't perfect, they openly admit it. The sleepless nights, the constant juggling, the moments of frustration, it's all real, but what keeps them going isn't perfection. It's faith, communication, and the commitment to face everything together, even when arguments happen. Even when the stress feels overwhelming. Even when the cameras are watching. They remind themselves, this is what they prayed for, what they hoped for, a full, chaotic, beautiful family, and while the world sees the smiles, the home, the kids playing in the yard, there's so much more behind the scenes. A story of compromise, patience, and figuring things out day by day. It's a reminder that even the perfect families have struggles, and sometimes the biggest victories come not from picture-perfect moments, but from surviving the chaos together, because in the end, love isn't about flawless days, it's about showing up, supporting each other, and keeping the family strong, no matter what life throws at you.